showtime.
Dynamite download.
Dynamite download, your home for all positive coverage with all elite wrestling.
You guys, positive energy.
This reality, like, it is me. Like,
Who let this guy in here?
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
I'm saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down, like, wrestling like he does.
I said, Mariah May. She said, who?
Because I'm so driven. And I'm so moved to like what I want to do.
The versus Brian Keith match.
it's awesome.
That's so cool. You got like these creepy-ass dudes.
Oldest ride, longest line.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Back to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Woo! Guns up, baby! Woo-hoo!
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Dynamite Download, episode 112, baby. Woo. It is Dynamite Download, breaking things down, hot off the heels of the end of the month. And the official first day of the rankings was today, last night, at midnight. They announced the rankings. We got our own personal rankings as well, a lot to go over, and a jam-packed card on Dynamite last night with really some stepping stones to the road to Revolution. Absolutely. We're seeing starting it to shape up, and we're almost less than a month away from the end of Dynamite Downloads draft contest. We are almost less than a month to Revolution, the end of Sting's career, which it still seems like there's a lot of wind in the sails. But, let's kick things off with the Dynamite Download draft standings as of last night's Dynamite. I know, Mindrunner, you've been having a comfortable lead for a while.
I was having some technical difficulties. I'm not sure I found the image anywhere. Oh, wait, here they are. Yeah, as you can see, things aren't as comfortable for old Mindrunner as they used to be. What a difference a bunch of matches make when we got old Crayfish now 1 point behind me. I didn't have anybody wrestle on Dynamite. Nobody. Not even Orange Cassidy. A first, right? No Sky Blue, no Orange Cassidy. Now I do have Claudio coming. He's going to get a win, and I've got some others coming in for a collision. But yeah,
there's your.
Come on, I'm hoping now. A Private Party's going to save me. They're going up against Top Flight again. I'm hoping they'll save me. Hoping they'll get me aboard here. But we're gonna see.
I mean, it's like you said, looking at the graphics right here, it's getting neck and neck. Still a lot of stuff going on, and slow and steady. SPD's coming back, nipping at the heels of both of you and Crayfish. And so, Rampage, I got two guys going at it. Excuse me, one gal and one guy. I got Willow fighting on Rampage tomorrow night, and I got Darius Martin with his brother Dante going up against your Private Party team. So we'll see how that all pans out. Now let's throw up I got the rankings and as well here. So the AEW rankings. And so this was released. This is hot off the press. And we're just going to show this briefly because we got a little bit of a hot take. Well, we got SPD's hot take, and this is all about this later on in the show. And so, I was pumped to see it back, but not to spoil anything. Stay tuned for halfway through the show. We're going to do SPD's hot take of the night on that. So that being said, let's dive right into the card. So, in weeks past, they didn't really hype up too many matches ahead of time. So this card kind of was shaping up like in real live form, essentially. I don't know if the Jericho Cruise had anything to do with that or not, or what, because a lot of the talent was on the cruise, which was awesome, which, having complete FOMO, wishing we were on that as well. One day, Team Dynamite Download will set sail with the Jericho Holics and the Jericho Cruise on that, because it's always a good time. We've talked to people who've been on it, both wrestlers and guests, and they say it's a great time. But, the workhorses of AEW right here in the top row, as of now, Hangman, Moxley, and Swerve, those three, even though Moxley's not in the world title picture currently, but you talk about workhorses as of late, I feel like those three names come to mind. What did you think of the show overall?
Overall, I thought it was tremendous. I feel, kind of going back to Cray's point about, as much as I love MJF and I thought he had a great title run, entertaining title run.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe is kind of leading this almost a new feel with AEW. Like the fact that you've got and it really seems like like everybody's really like cutting blood right now. And it's weird because this is an AEW without a Kenny Omega right now, with him benched on the sideline. We've got some of our workhorses really getting the attention they deserve. AEW's own Hangman looking tremendous. I definitely want to get into his match. Swerve is just tremendous. Every match Swerve has is a gold star match for me. Like, he just is so creative. He can wrestle anybody. But Moxley, like they've already, as soon as the rankings hit, like they've already been getting Moxley in as many wins as he can. So are we going to see a Moxley versus Samoa Joe at some point for the title? I don't know, but overall,
I would love to see that, but I don't want Mox to take another L. With his pay-per-view record as of late has not really been pristine Moxley style.
Yeah, it's almost like he pads up the wins, and then when it's showtime, who knows what happens. But what I was just going to say is overall, both Collision and this AEW Dynamite, and Collision was tremendous. And of course, I was bouncing back and forth between that and the Royal Rumble. I know I was cheating, but I love me some Rumble. But the AEW's Collision was tremendous, especially that cage match. And even though there's some controversy with House of Black, whatever, I think that's all just rumors. They put on such a show. The FTR, Daniel Garcia, even Mark Briscoe, his part in the whole thing. These guys, the talent AEW, I feel like everybody's like taking it up a notch. Do you feel like that?
I thought Collision was fantastic as well. As you were, I was flipping Royal Rumble a little bit, but as soon as that main event hit, I wasn't touching anything because right off the bat, I mean, Cash going to the top off the cage and going crossbody was really amazing stuff. And so
it's crazy. Dash, Mr. No Flips, Just Fists. And there seems to be, let us know in the chat if you feel the same way, but there seems to be kind of, that's the poison with FTR is it's always Cash twice now. Cash has gone to the well where he feels like the fists don't work. So he tries some aerial maneuvers and it usually ends up in a problem. But in this case, it actually turns into like this actually started off a really positive streak. So shout out to, of course, Brent Ross and the Brian the Raz in the chat. If you're in the Twitter chat, let me know what's going on. Post a little, hey, what's up? Let us know that you're loving this stuff. But I want to talk specifically. The SPD is preparing. He's getting warmed up for his hot take. But but here's what I would like to tell everybody here. It's the Dynamite that we watched. What we're starting to see is you're seeing Hangman Adam Page and you're seeing Swerve. They're building up for this match next week where they're going to take on, the winner is supposed to take on Samoa Joe. But based on what I saw at Dynamite, both of these guys barely beat their competitors, as we saw Toa Leona, which going into that match, I wasn't expecting much. I don't think anybody was expecting Toa Leona to win. But the match itself, if I tuned into AEW for the first time, not knowing anything about anybody, and watched Hangman versus Toa Leona, I wouldn't know who was going to win. I wouldn't be able to predict the winner because the way that Toa Leona looked like a beast, like he flat out headbutted Hangman, knocked him on his butt. He ducked the buckshot lariat. He even kicked out of the Deadeye, which that's a very protected move. So again, going back to what I love about AEW is they're not afraid to put the younger guys and the lesser known talent when they are elite. They're worth it. They put them over. So that's a tremendous testament to Hangman. That match was great. And the way that Hangman won, he didn't win a decisive victory. It was almost the equivalent of a surprise roll-up, the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. I was super excited about it, and I love that kind of back and forth. I love going into a match, even a match where when you're going into it, you're pretty sure you know the outcome, but to watch the match and start to second guess, is this guy going to beat Hangman? Is this going to be a shocker? Speaking of shockers, we also had to wait the whole damn show to figure out who Swerve's opponent was, and it turned out to be none other than SPD's namesake, RVD. And I gotta say, dude in his early 50s is still able to go like he did, and still able to do some of the moves and stuff that he did. That's tremendous. And it's like I saw on social media that Rob Van Dam said, boy, you guys didn't know I never left. He was always able to do this. So I wonder if we're going to see, if you'd like to see Rob Van Dam and more in AEW, let us know in the chat. Say, hey, do a RVD if you want to see some more RVD. So here's what we're going to do, though. We're getting SPD back. He's hyped up. We're going to go ahead and do a hot take. We're going to listen to his hot takes because it's going to basically be part of the rest of the show here, because we are going to be talking about the rankings and how they're influencing a lot of these matches, how these matches are being affected by the rankings, and what that's going to say going forward for Revolution and beyond as we start going to Double or Nothing and so on. So without further ado, here is SPD with his hot, as Prince Nana would say. This is his hot take.
What's up, everybody? It's SPD, and it is time for my hot take of the week. Hot off the press, the rankings are back better than ever for 2024. This is to piggyback a little bit off of Crayfish's hot take from last week, but the ranking systems, we officially have our first one of the year, and honestly, quite some surprises. You know, what I love so much about the rankings is that it's going to be so great for a lot of up-and-coming teams we haven't seen in a while, like we just saw Dark Order added to the tag team rankings. So I'm really, really excited. I think that this is going to be a home run for AEW, and I hope that everyone else does agree on that, because it gets me excited for the end of the month to see where we're at. And what's really different about it than it was before is that you're not seeing win-losses. And so you're seeing almost kind of like a college football. You'll have a committee, maybe you'll come out with a committee with Tony Khan and some of his Tony Schiavone and other ones who have been scouting different talent throughout the month, and then at the end they make their decisions on who's ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do you guys think of that? How do you think the rankings are going to play out? And what do you think of not necessarily having those win-losses, because you really don't have a distinguished difference between, let's just say, a 2-minute match or an awesome 25-minute banger? So I really like the idea of a type of committee coming up with 1 through 5 of each division. And on top of that, seeing some fresh teams, some kind of surprises. Like in the women's division, we saw Shida ranked number 3. We saw some trios teams in there that we not necessarily were coming for the titles, but now they're in the top 5. And so it's going to make the whole division that much stronger. So hot take of the week from your boy, SPD.
What a great hot take that is. And again, we had to go with it early for SPD. We had to go for
I'm back.
Early. Welcome back, dude. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, little technical difficulties, but all is well. Hot take and all. What is your thoughts on that take before I give my double rebuttal?
I double rebuttal. Honestly, I really am glad they're back. My only small take is the one thing I wish they would do is like refresh them at the end of the major 4 pay-per-views. I do think you're gonna get the spreadsheet nerds, like some of us, are going to be still tracking the cage match stats, and they're going to be going on. I think on the actual website they'll still have their overall and whatever stats, but they're like you said. I like just flat out. Hey, it's like how do they determine the bowls and how do they determine the
exactly
all those kind of things? So I think that allows some more flexibility, but it gives a little more to credibility to keep people from just going, hey, I want a title shot. I've lost my last 6 matches, but I got a title shot. And I do think that it probably started or probably spawned. I think Tony Khan was thinking about going back to it already, but it really came to fruition when that whole mess, that whole back and forth between Jinder Mahal and Hook, and how why does Hook get a title shot? But when you look at Hook's record, I mean he's up there with like Colton Gunn as far as a record. I mean, we certainly don't want Colton Gunn to have to wrestle Samoa Joe for the title anytime soon, right?
Exactly. Hey, you never know. Never say never.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think with it being out, because they used to do weekly every single week, and then now they're changing it to monthly. And so it's almost going to be a natural reset of who's hot and who's not, because they have eliminated the win-losses essentially on the record sheet or on the ranking sheet. And so I like this fact that they are doing more of a, hopefully they kind of explain it more where it is like kind of a committee picking it, like I mentioned, the hot take, the college football type of stuff, because Adam Copeland and Moxley and Roderick Strong, I mean, all these guys are undefeated currently. So why, if they're all 4-0 or 3-0 in 2024, what makes one versus the other? Are they taking into effect difficulty of matches as well? So they can, it's kind of different stuff like college football.
Yeah,
you do take in effect, they have like different points and something like the difficulty of schedule. So that's probably why Swerve is number 1 over Hangman, even though that Hangman match was absolutely brutal, but Swerve won in a hardcore match. And so like maybe that's what makes him number 1 versus number 2 and so forth. And so
I think it would be good TV too, like just every now and then a segment where you got like Jerry Lynn, Taz, Stokely, whoever, you have these people in the room and maybe Shivani's leading it, and they're all bringing up their cases, kind of like that scene in
it's a good idea,
where they and just kind of do almost like a QTV kind of like steady cam, like back and forth, and like Taz be like, I object. I think Darby should be number 2, not number 3 because of that. And then, Stoke like, gentlemen, what are you doing? That back and forth, I think it would be good. It'll really make the rankings feel all that more important. And you can also kind of control the narrative too. Like if storyline wise, let's say you want Swerve to be the next guy, but everybody's been watching, Moxley and Eddie Kingston getting all this other stuff. Well, you can have that discussion. Eddie's been in Japan doing what God knows what with sushi. So, that's why Swerve has stayed in the United States. That's why he's ranked higher. That's just a hypothetical thing. I think that would be compelling TV. I think it would be really good.
Yeah, and you're looking at, I'm looking at the rankings over here on the side on my phone, but the Hardys and Mark Briscoe are ranked number 2 in the trios group, ahead of FTR Garcia, ahead of House of Black. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've only seen the Hardys and Briscoe team together once, maybe twice. And then you have these established teams that are below. So there's some kind of, obviously Swerve going on with the rankings. There's something going on where, they're giving us kind of a glimpse into the future where it's like, okay, you have this team that's kind of leaning in towards a little bit of heel with the Hardy, Jeff Hardy lately, wrestling week in and week out. So obviously that kind of makes a nice sense for them to fight the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass into the trios, like a nice championship. And then Dark Order could be next. Obviously Bullet Club Gold's not going to be fighting them, even though they are ranked number 1. So you can kind of see some future matches the way they're playing out. And, John Silver and Alex Reynolds, ranked number 2 in the tag team division. How often have we seen them as of late, in 2024? So
I think that's actually why they're doing this qualifier match against Ricky Starks and Big Bill, which is interesting because it's almost like the match is set up for them to lose so that it explains why it's obviously Sting and Darby are going to get the match the following week. I mean, for me, I would love for Silver and Reynolds to win, because I think that they talk about workhorses, talk about two dudes that have been really just busting their tails on this.
100%.
It does actually have it puts an interesting perspective on Sting's last match. And it just really quickly for me to throw this out there, because the way next Wednesday is almost like a pay-per-view level Dynamite itself, because
you're not wrong about that.
Tag team title. We can talk about that in a little bit, but it's the Big Bill and Ricky Starks versus Sting and Darby. And up until Dynamite last night, I thought that I felt bad, because I felt like they're just going to snatch the tag titles away from Ricky and Bill, and then just give them to Sting and Darby, and then Sting and Darby going to wrestle Matthew and Nicholas at Revolution. But then the promo that Ricky did, specifically Ricky, but the promo last night between Big Bill and Ricky Starks versus Sting and Darby, and frankly, Darby didn't say anything that he hasn't already said before. I mean, not slamming him, but it was just a typical Darby, doing doing the eyes from Full Metal Jacket and doing his talk. Sting's just sitting back, letting everybody say their piece before he chimes in, which is great. Classic Sting, great Sting.
Right.
But Ricky's point about Sting's first win in AEW was over Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Remember that.
It's bothered him for so long. And how animated, how upset he was, and how he wants to prove something to himself. And then the calmness of Big Bill, the almost condescending a little bit too, like he's not buying the hype.
Right.
I'm going to ask you, because, and how you think, but I have a feeling they're going to retain on Wednesday. And
it's as much as I want to see Big Bill and Ricky Starks continue their reign and get some good title defenses in, I can't imagine Starks and Bill giving Sting and Darby their first loss, and then whatever happened, and then you've come this far as a team undefeated, you might as well go all the way.
Keep in mind the other segment featuring Darby last night.
No, I know. With Nicholas and Matthew.
Nicholas and Matthew, they said, you haven't called us, and Darby gave him a little disrespect. So they said he's not hearing this. We're gonna have to try a different way to get his attention.
Right.
So my thought is they're not Ricky and Bill are gonna retain, but it's gonna be some shadiness done with the Young Bucks, and it could still be the Young Bucks versus Sting and Darby, but it could be a triple threat. It could be a three-way, and then that's where they retire with the belts on them at Revolution. But I have a feeling whatever happens on Wednesday, Nicholas and Matthew are going to be involved.
Yeah, and I think that will just further book that match as official, because it's not official. Young Bucks versus Sting and Darby.
Yeah.
Obviously the kayfabe stuff on social media, we're hearing it's all signs point to that, but nothing is official until it's posted by TK himself. So that being said, like, I don't know if I would want to see a triple threat, because I think that would outshine Sting's last match. If this wasn't his last match, I would be all for that. Young Bucks cost Darby and Sting their titles, and then it just goes into a triple threat at the pay-per-view. But this being Sting's last match, it would be fun to have him defend the title once or twice leading up to Revolution, which we're running out of time after winning it. And it would just be another one of those like notches on his belt. It's one of those good guy feels, you've held gold in AEW where you've been here for 3 years, ending your career. Does he need another title? No, because he's the icon Sting. But I think it's just kind of one of those things. I don't know. It's very hard to, it's not an easy one to book, because it could go so many ways, or we're just overthinking it.
Well, that's probably it. We're probably overthinking it, but like that's the beauty of being an armchair booker. You go, oh, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? We work ourselves into a shoot, and we work ourselves into a kayfabe as well. Because we always think, hey, what's gonna like like last night, I was actually thinking, are they going to is Toa Leona going to beat Hangman last night? I actually
that was a great match, way better than I expected. And I know you talked about it while I was on getting hijacked by Stokely or someone or Don Callis with his no socks. I don't have my socks on too. So he was like, he stole my socks.
Where's your socks? That was tremendous.
But the match with Hangman was such a brutal hard hit. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that big man was doing flips and jives and all this stuff. Like, it was the best I've seen him, and I've enjoyed the Gates of Agony, what we've seen in AEW and Ring of Honor and all the other television as tag teams. But for him to shine like that as a singles wrestler, it was pretty impressive. And I loved how Hangman did the swerve where he waited all effing show, and then he said, "You forgot that I could pick the stipulation too." So it was like a double swerve on swerve for the whole effing show. So that whole thing was a lot of fun.
Do you think that the hardcore stipulation enhanced the match with RVD?
I think it was necessary. Yes. I know talking to you guys, I was with all the rumors and the clues of RVD fighting Swerve. I was not necessarily that geeked about it, but the main event exceeded all my expectations. I mean, as an RVD guy, I mean, he stole my hands. RSPD. I mean, he stole my signature, my gimmick. Yeah. So, I mean, we go hand in hand, and we're both from Michigan, so it's like I got a lot of ties to the guy. My favorite time is not 420 though. But anyways, the match was fantastic. I think RVD really showed a lot of his youth there with a lot of those kicks and the flips and the stuff he was doing. I was like, damn, this guy can still effing go. And it was great. It was way better than I expected, because when he's been paired with Hook and other matches, they were fine, but I think this was the best we've seen him in AEW.
Absolutely. My only tiny nitpick, this is the Mindrunner nitpick, which is, it's funny because it's like the one problem I had with the match, but it's so insignificant that it's almost laughable.
Yeah.
My only issue is I wanted to see a ladder come out with these two together, because one of my favorite, probably my top 5 matches in all of professional wrestling of all time is Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam at SummerSlam. I think it was 2001. I think that's when it was. But it was Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam as a ladder match, and the crazy stuff that they did in that match was off the charts. And when you've got a guy like Swerve and you've got RVD, and granted, it's 50-year-old RVD, but maybe he's making a case for cannabis being the fountain of youth there, because dude was going. I mean, he impressed Full Tilt Deb, and if you get Full Tilt Deb to be impressed, then you got a gold star, because, and so like that, a couple of the stunts he did off the on the ring the ring post, or not the ring post, but all that stuff too, and it was just tremendous. He was going, and it was tremendous. The chairs were flying. Tremendous all around, and I think it enhanced the match considerably. And now I'm curious what they're going to do about next week with Hangman and Swerve.
I know. I almost feel like there has to be a stipulation there as well. I mean, they've had that most recent stipulation, the death match, which is absolutely brutal. It's really one that would be very, very hard to top. These guys need to get like 30 minutes of ring time. I mean, give them as much time as possible to tell their story. In a stacked card that's already, filled with the tag title match, Jericho going, and that, I mean, it's just, Dynamite, like you said, does feel like a pay-per-view. And then, but speaking of something that we got to show, if you don't follow us on Twitter or Instagram, we just posted before our show, 2 weeks on episode 110, Mindrunner and I were bouncing ideas off each other. The new Bang Bang Gang theme song came out. The new entrance came out. We were all geeked about it. We're like, oh, this is such a great entrance. And we talked to Colton in our recent interview. It's such a great entrance. But what could go with that entrance is an awesome vignette, an awesome, video on the main Titantron. And Mindrunner himself created an awesome one if you haven't checked it out, but we're going to play it right now. Let's hit it.
Absolutely. Now, just a couple little notes here. This is partially done with AI. This is just a proof of concept because there's some great artists out there like Mel Coleman. That she's the one that does the callus paintings and stuff. So this is just a proof of concept. This is just to get the ideas floating in your head about what could be. But ladies and gentlemen, the Bang Bang Gang ride again.
Man, I don't know what.
Bang, bang, it is. Oh, that was tremendous. Bravo, bravo. Wow.
Juice, it's great to see you, bud.
What's going on there? I'm staying rock hard, even though I'm on the injured list. I got to say, that was so awesome. I
can't wait to see you get back as soon as possible and join the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
I'm tired of being home alone here with all these powdered donuts, which is why my beard is all powdered in the middle there. It has nothing to do with anything else. So don't worry about that. But wow, boy, that would look badass.
Exactly. I mean, you need to know. I'm sick of seeing Rock Hard Juice Board. I want to see the actual Rock Hard Juice Robinson in person.
Oh, I'm
tearing
coming.
it up with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Don't worry about that. Tony's had her little butler guy there giving me some massages and that Mariah May, she's a good gal. You know, she's been helping out around the house and everything too. I know my wife, she's a little off lately, but I love her to pieces, but not as much as I love that intro. But that guy, that Mind Runner did a great job.
Agreed.
I think that's something we can take and maybe go to Tony Khan and make some kind of cinema with it. I got one question for you. Did you know? I got something for you. I got to tell you. I'm your Huckleberry. Woo! Ha! I love it. I think that's tremendous. I love it. Well, listen, I just want to let you know I'm on the mend. I'm coming around soon.
Good. That's great to hear.
Man. I'm going to be back very soon. So guns up, everybody.
Guns up all the way. A great job. Yes, of course, man. Fantastic. Great seeing Juice in great spirits as well. So, excellent work. You know, we just posted that online, getting a lot of great traction. So hopefully it does come into fruition. I mean, let's see it, man. Let's see it AEW. Let's see it TK. You know, maybe get Darby Allin to help with directing and all that. But man, that would be a killer intro video for the Bullet Club Glow, the Bang Bang Gang. I would love to see them act it all out, get a nice scene, and then eventually have a Wild Wild West, you know, bar fight with the Bang Bang Gang. You know, put on the cowboy hats, put on the leather vests, and go all out and have a nice brawl.
Now, if one of my nitpicks again, and it's such a small thing, I'm not sure what they're doing with the Bang Bang Gang and the Scissor Me Bang Bangs guys, the Acclaim. It's almost like they've kind of put them on the shelf. Are they building to something? Because as you know, in the rankings, if you look in the number one contenders for the AEW trios are the ROH 6-man tag, the Bullet Club Gold. So I wonder if is the story building up to a feud, or is somebody who's gonna turn on who at this point?
It's so fresh. I think they got to give the people what they want and ride it out as long as possible, because you're looking at essentially now one of the top babyface groups in all of wrestling. And so, you know, I don't feel like they need to be consistently together every single time. You know, if they want to capitalize on those babyface pops and the babyface, you know, feel good match or story, then yeah, of course, do that. But I feel like you could equally still be the Bang Bang Scissor Gang and the Acclaim be fighting on Dynamite and the Bang Bang Gang fighting on Collision, and they're still
Collision Cowboys.
That's right, exactly. So at this point, I think they're just gonna. I hope they got each other's back for a long time coming, and just run through it. And maybe when when they're done running through the trios division, then they're like, what's next? They've done that. They've done the feud with each other already. And so it's like, you're going to revisit that soon. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know where they're going. I'm just enjoying the ride right now.
I'll tell you, like any good cinema or any good story or book, your hero is only as good as the villain it opposes. Like for every Superman, there's Lex Luthor. For every Batman, there's Joker. So if they do stay as this like almost NWO level, faction, who's out there? What group would be out there that could face them? I mean, do you get the right? Does the Righteous recruit anybody else? Like, does the Righteous go after anybody?
You're right.
Back, do they go after the Elite? Just to kind of say, I mean, is the United Kingdom or the Undisputed Kingdom, are they really that big of a faction? They're, what's really going on? Is Wardlow truly with them, or is he just riding along? What faction out there would be big enough and formidable enough to take on those 7 fan favorites? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, when Juice does return, man, it does get a crowded ring, but it's all cheers for me, and it's all exciting, and I'm all for it at the moment. So I think almost right now it's just enjoying the ride. You're going to get some. Hopefully, both teams can start getting some matches in the books and fighting, and just so you just getting more and more momentum, and then going from there. I don't see a big picture end result at the moment, but it's still so new, and just love it. It was an unexpected segment yesterday. It wasn't necessarily one that had a lot of direction. I was kind of hoping before they did the group bang bang scissor, give the people what they want, music would play, and so you have kind of like an instant feud, or at least you have some kind of swerve at the end. But we didn't get that. Maybe we'll get that soon. Let's talk about the women's division right now. So we're going to talk about the match last night, and then we're going to go into booking our next round of AEW Tag Team Champions, our inaugural Dynamite Download fantasy bracket. But last night's match, which was stepping stone block to the match that we're going to be getting at Revolution, I loved the promo beforehand, which really explained their relationship, the tattoo story, and the throwback, the callback to their history of friendship and growing up in the industry together, and all that with Deano and Tony Storm. I really like that. I think AEW does a great job of really digging into the history of a feud, the history between people. They've done that a lot with a lot of other wrestlers, and this one especially, giving us some insight for those who are not too familiar with both ladies' history beforehand. But Taya Valkyrie, it was great to see her back in the ring. I know she was on the Jericho cruise. I saw some highlights of that. And then her and her husband are doing some awesome stuff. I love the new look. And 2 women that are just complete badasses in the ring. Tough as nails, and love both of their offenses in this one.
Absolutely. And those of you that haven't been keeping up on Ring of Honor, treat yourself. It's Ring of Honor has been tremendous. Ty Valkyrie and her husband, Johnny TV, and they just learned for the first time a couple weeks ago that TV could also stand for Ty Valkyrie, and they're special people. But if you haven't seen the meme already of Johnny TV splitting, you got to check that out, because that's tremendous. And they got a big feud going with Dalton Castle. But Ty Valkyrie is one of those professionals that has been everywhere. Her kind of very parallels to Deanna is both of them they both went to the Fed, the Big E, but never found the success that they've had elsewhere. They're kind of that testament to it's a testament to why AEW and like now TNA, TNA seems to be rising up very well too. But the testament to having alternatives out there, because Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie were dying on the vine at WWE. They went, and not by their fault. And now here they are. Here they are having a banger match, a tremendous match, showcasing their abilities, which they might not have ever got that opportunity as much at WWE. Not slamming WWE. It's more, you've got to having that variety is such a tremendous thing. It's such a great time to be a wrestling fan. You could be a WWE, AEW, and TNA fan, Ring of Honor, all of that. It's tremendous. one of the things too is I think this was the first time that I feel like Deonna didn't have the first match jitters. I mean, her first couple matches were great, but she seemed to be in her element more. And I don't know how much of that was Taya also helping, but she seemed to be a lot more in her zone this time with Taya than she had her first couple matches.
Yeah.
I did love the commentary with Toni Storm when she said, oh, somebody peed in my seat. and all those little subtleties, like Luther trying to squish her head too, and stuff like that. But I feel like this is kind of like, this was that third match was kind of like, okay, now Deonna's getting that trend. What I feel is interesting is they continue to refer to her as the best technical wrestler in the world. Well, I think the professor might have an issue with that. And it'd be interesting if at some point we see Serena Deeb go, excuse me, I don't think so. I don't think you're the best technical wrestler. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes. I don't think it's time to take the belt off of Toni yet, but I really enjoy the storytelling, the connections, and I do love like you said, the deep dive that they do with they're aware. They don't and again, this isn't it's apples oranges. I'm not slamming WWE, but one of my frustrations with WWE is they refuse to acknowledge the talent's previous careers or other stories. Like, AJ Styles was just came out of a void when he showed up at WWE. He was you got to talk about where they came from.
Acknowledge them.
Acknowledge them, exactly. So I think that's and who knows, with the way things are shaking up now at WWE, we might have a much better relationship between those two companies. And I dare say within the next 10 years, could we see the ultimate forbidden door between those two?
You never say never. Never say never. Look what happened with CM Punk. So after all that. Anyways, I said it last week on the show. I could definitely see DP dethroning Toni Storm, just the way it's been built and the quality of caliber of a wrestler she is. AEW has not given gold someone that quick in their debut into the company that I can remember, whether it be whatever titles they are.
Yeah.
But that being said, if it's not DP, it's got to be SD, Serena Deeb. And I think you got to continue, like you mentioned, that it got me going. I mean, I would want to see Serena Deeb go for Toni Storm after Revolution.
I think so. I think that the women's division is elevating again to where, and again, just like there's no Kenny right now on our screens with TV, we don't have a Britt Baker on our TV, and yet look at how, and it's not a slam on Britt. Britt and Thunder Rosa have done tremendous jobs. Thunder Rosa being back now, she could be somebody. I mean, I would love, kind of going along the lines of what we said about MGF and Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
If it's time for Toni to lose the title, and she could then go crazy again, like, I've lost my title, I've lost the edge, and flip out.
Right.
Then she could even feud with Mariah May about you blame it all on her or whatever. I think a Deonna Purrazzo title reign, where she kind of goes through and really kind of shows everybody what she was doing in TNA and Impact,
right?
For so long. And Thunder Rosa versus Deonna Purrazzo would be a tremendous match.
You're absolutely right.
Banger. And then by that time, we might have a certain hater returning. The dentist might be back, and rumor has it, I know that Tony Khan's got a special announcement coming. I hope he doesn't spoil it, but rumor has it that a certain very money wrestler is on her way. And of course, I'm talking about Wendy Richter. But but anyways, I think the women's division is really stepping up, and kind of maybe to segue in our segment, it's time for Toni to just come on, Toni. It's time for women's tag team titles. Let's go. It's time.
Book it, TK. Book it.
TK, it's time to book it. Let's get those women's tag team titles.
So last week we announced our bracket of 8 teams in the women's tag team tournament for inaugural winners. And now we are in week 2. We're going to advance this. We're going to advance it into the round 2 And so starting with the top left, which is we're going to call that Group A on the left side and Group B on the right side. Group A, we got Willow and Statlander, which have been teaming for a while, and Mercedes and Diamante in the next one. And so this one, you know, in order of interest of timing, we're going to advance Willow and Statlander for this, which clearly they seem pretty close to one of the more favorite teams in this whole tournament.
Yeah.
And so Willow is they're going to revisit the match that they had, that hardcore match or the street fight. And then they're going, not necessarily this match be a street fight, but just revisit that awesome match. And then they're going to take the victory and advance to the second round.
I agree 100%. And this is not taken away from Mercedes and Diamante at all. But I think that's again, going back to the whole thing that makes these kind of tournaments compelling is when you have a match where you're not 100% sure are Willow and Statlander going to make it. And of course, you've got all the stuff with Stokely going on too to make you wonder. But yeah, clearly, because I would say out of the teams here, this is among the favorites to advance. This is someone we really want to see advance, and I think that'd be compelling.
Given the landscape on TV right now, that is definitely a team that I could see as a heavy favorite in this tournament.
Absolutely. I do now, looking down to the bottom here. Do we want to go here?
Yeah.
I think that what's building up, obviously the storyline is Ruby's really starting to second guess her role in the Outcast now with Harley Cameron messing around with Cool Hand Ange.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to get to a point where they're going to split up. I love Red Velvet. I love Kira Hogan to the period. I call this team Red Period. I think that's a great. Oh, maybe that's not a good.
Yeah, name. I don't know about that one.
All right, forget. I'll work in progress. I'll come up with a different name, but you know, because Kira Hogan does the period thing. I think I love both of these athletes, but I really think for storyline purposes, and of course they're going to be the ones going up against Willow and Statlander. I think we advance Saraya and Ruby Soho. Would you agree?
Agree.
All right, we'll move them on there. And now, what's your thoughts on the Section B?
Section B is definitely the DMD Hater return teaming up and getting into this tournament as a return. Even if Toni Storm is still the current women's champion, this is where you could, as you mentioned in our last segment, where you could have Toni Storm and Mariah May, a little turmoil there. You know, she almost trying too hard to please Toni Storm, and then it cost them the match. So it's Mariah May is like really, you know, pushing Toni out of the way to take the lariat from Hater and really trying to help her out, but then it ultimately would cost them the match by just trying too hard. And so then that way you can have them feuding and Toni Storm just being this like total big diva of pouting and Mariah just trying to do everything and anything to kind of win her trust back.
I agree. And I love that storyline that you said where Mariah May pushes Toni out of the way to save her, but it ultimately cost them the match. And then Toni, even though Mariah May did this sacrifice, Toni is mad because they lost. And so that causes that breakup, or at least perpetuates that tension. But yeah, the world wants Hater back. The world wants DMD back, despite whatever crazy part of the internet that DMD's reading. We want Britt Baker back in AEW. Come on, let's go.
At all costs, yes, we need her in AEW at all costs, no matter what level it is, because it's not the same without her.
And speaking of which, because her nemesis, her Batman to the Joker, is also somebody we want to see. Ultimately, we want to see them clash. Now, barring any backroom, disclosures, whatever kind of, maybe there's some kind of real drama behind them. But I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to believe, I want to live in a world where Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are both professionals. I know Thunder Rosa is, and I'm pretty sure Britt is, where despite their personal differences, they're going to work together. But even in a tag team match, you can still kind of, work it so that, maybe Abaddon works more with Britt and Thunder works with Hater. But I think, are we going to agree that we want Thunder and Abaddon to advance over the Witch Sisters?
This is a very tough one for me because as much as Originally, yes, because obviously we want the number one feud in all of women's wrestling in AEW revisited. But do we want it visited in the tag team tournament where, yes, it'll be a big draw, or do we want Julia Hart and Sky Blue to advance by doing some kind of cheating in the mist or whatever it may be? That way, this next round sets that up. And then if we book Hayter and DMD to advance, then that immediately sets up a feud with Julia Hart for that TBS title. So, or vice versa, if Thunder and Abaddon advance, that could immediately set up a feud for the TBS title with Thunder and Julia Hart, which we're seeing. So I think that this is an upset, even though Julia Hart is the champ. I think this is an upset match, and it's going to tease that feud return, but not give it to us just yet.
I think
long-term booking.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we need that upset. I think we need that. Are we going to get Thunder and Britt? And then, whoops, no, that didn't happen. And it's not like both Abaddon and Thunder can take the loss, and it's not going to really take anything away from them.
Right.
And I don't want this to, unlike with the Tony Storm Ryan May, I don't see this as Thunder and Abaddon feuding with each other.
No,
I see this as still having beef with the Instagram witches. But I think that that's the right move. Is you got
Graveyard? What was their names?
Graveyard Shift. Dead Reckoning was another term.
The Graveyard Shift.
Graveyard Shift. Unfortunately, I think the Instagram witches advance and take on Tooth Decay.
I like this. The Final Four right now. It's a lot of
tremendous.
Yes. I'm glad we worked it out. And for those of you watching live and following along on this, we did not talk about this in advance. We were kind of, yes, we can really dive deep and dissect and even take it longer, but in interest of time, this is I think we booked this pretty well, and I'm curious to see where we go from here, because there's so many. These final four teams are just stacked.
Yeah,
anyone could win.
Let us know in the chat, or if you're watching this afterwards, let us know in the comments. Who do you see advancing? Do you think is it gonna be Willow Stat, or is it gonna be the Outcast in the finals? Is it gonna be Team Tooth Decay or Tooth Pain, Team Novocaine? I don't know. We'll come up with something versus the Instagram witch. Who do you think it's gonna be? Let us know. It's awesome sauce.
That's great. I know you touched base on a few matches ahead of time, but I think that we'll wrap it up for tonight's show, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about as well throughout the week. It's going to be a stacked week. Stay tuned for our channel, because we got some exciting news coming for next week as well. We might have another fresh face on our channel. If you haven't already checked out our Colton Gunn interview, which we did posted last week, make sure you check it out. He's an awesome guy, and props and thanks to him and the Bang Bang Gang for allowing that to happen. And we appreciate you all for coming out. Real quick, I had to put you on the spot. Who was your performer of the night?
My performer of the night, just for Dynamite or overall?
Just for Dynamite.
Get this. I'm actually, it's tough, Barry. I'm going to flip a coin.
Okay.
I don't have a coin. I'm actually going to say my performer of the night was Toa Leona. I think Toa Leona, and it was between him and RVD.
Wow.
Which is weird, because I could have said the same for their opponents. I feel like all four of them, and like I could even say Tony Storm on commentary too. But I'm going to stick with Toa Leona. The way that dude no-selled, I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't sandbagging anybody, but the way that he's like no-sell, he really presented himself. He reminded me of Haku. And I'm not talking like Haku, like the real dude, the stories that you hear about how he ripped the dude's ear off and the stuff that he's done. And when he went to beat up Simon Miller, all these things that like these Hakus, like he really, like, he's one of the few people that, like, I'm not 100% sure he doesn't realize that this is all choreographed. Like, like there are times where I'm like, he's ready to do the haka on me and come, rip me into two. So, grab my Toa Leona gets my performer of the night. What about you?
Mine is Hangman Adam Page.
Nice.
because not only of that awesome match, which exceeded my expectations, absolutely brutal, but the multiple segments that he had, the awesome promos that he cut, the swerve he did with that backstage promo of the stipulation. And so he was definitely a marquee feature of the night. And I think he really stood out to me in all aspects, especially the promo at the end, just fired up Hangman after taking a whooping coming out later in the night. And so Hangman Adam Page was SPD's performer of the night.
And that says a lot, because this is an episode that had Moxley kicking some major butt. You also, this had the RVD Swerve match, which I could have easily picked Swerve or RVD tonight for that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I just, wow, tremendous stuff. I love the direction AEW is going in. I'm so excited to see what's coming up. I think Revolution's really going to be impressive. I know they've only got a couple matches kind of tentatively signed, but I think we're in for a while. Buckle up, because I think 2024 is going to be an awesome year to be a wrestling fan in general, but specifically to be an AEW fan. It's going to be awesome.
I would love to see the most belts change hands at Revolution. You're talking TNT title change, women's title change, Intercontinental Breakfast title change, tag team title change, potentially title vacation, vacating. So that's 4 right there. We don't have any trios matches set up. We don't have the TBS match set up, or the world title is not going to change yet, but it's going to be an awesome match. So I would love to see 4.
I also, Tony Khan, I hope you're listening, buddy. We
know he is.
We love all the cool stuff that you're doing. I know that sometimes, occasionally, you might listen to some of the stuff we say, but most of the time, you already know you already got your notebook. You're like 10 steps ahead of us playing 5D chess. I get it. But women's tag team titles, please. We've been good. We've been supporters of Dynamite since it started.
Yep.
Please, women's tag team titles. And one other thing in 2024, please have multiple belts change hands at the next Battle of the Belts. It's almost a joke at this point. I mean, and just one more belt change hands just to shock everybody. And it could be like John Silver winning the TNT title, what have you. It could be anything like that. But please, women's tag team titles. And let's please get at least one title to change hands at Battle of the Belts sometime this year, please.
Are you going to be a good boy all year? So Santa
I'm going
grants
to be
your
a
wish?
good boy all year. I've stopped drinking. I'm exercising, and I will cut out Oreos.
All right.
If you do that, I will cut out Oreos if you have a belt.
You hear that? Full tilt, Deb. Hold them to it.
She will.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to Dynamite Download episode 112. We are going to end on this again one more time to run it